Hello. Hi. Hi. So, uh, it's March, so I'm right on time for Valentine's Day. Uh, you may have noticed I didn't do anything for Valentine's Day, and I was looking at the calendar, and what did I see coming up? St. Patrick's Day, and it was like, oh yeah, holidays. That's a thing. So we're doing Valentine's Day for March the 2nd. Heart spaghetti. What does that mean? It means something. Um, I'm also setting myself a, I guess, challenge ish to do this all in one pan because I don't want to produce a lot more dishes. I'm tired of giving myself a lot of dishes. There are going to be, knives and mixing bowls and stuff, but ideally, just the one, that one, just that pan, which is going to mean cooking things in it, taking them out, cooking other things in it, and then reassembling because there are definitely some ingredients that don't want to be cooked together. You know how it goes. Um, so that's the plan. And you know what really got me was fine. We'll give away the game. Um, Chicken hearts. That's what really got me. Like, that's right. I didn't do anything for Valentine's Day. Heart. Now there's a lot of them here, which is another reason I want to cook things in phases because if I just did all of that, it'd be way too much. Um, but that's part one. Part one is hearts. We have other kinds of hearts. This kind of hearts. This kind of hearts. Oh, that's right. I need a bottle of wine. This kind of hearts. I don't have a heart bottle of wine. Um, I do have a Cabernet Sauvignon. Doing something also today that I have wanted to try to do because I think it looks really nice. Um, it's the kind of thing that it would be great for a Valentine's ish dinner, which is what's it called? It's when you cook this pasta in wine, so it takes on the color of red wine, um, which I've done tangentially with blueberries. We've done blueberry pasta a couple times, and it takes on that intense color of the blueberries. Um, but that's not traditional. That's me making stuff up. Uh, Not that I'm not making stuff up today. We're making stuff up today. Um, Also, a question of how much butter I want to put in this versus olive oil. Uh, Ideally, mostly olive oil, but I think there should be some butter. I think butter goes really well flavor-wise. We've got a little butt of it left. We might even just throw that in at the end as a finisher to really like gloss up the sauce. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be playing around. There's no recipe for this. No recipe today. So join me over here, won't you? As we open up uh, chicken hearts. MJ, you first. Hello. Congratulations. A lot of extra plastic on this thing. Um, Chicken hearts are one of those things where, unless you go out looking for them, you will typically. Hello, Raya. Welcome in. You'll typically find chicken hearts. That one doesn't look very good. You'll get one in a giblets, or you'll get an odd number in a giblets. I might pick a couple of these out because some of them look perfectly fine like that, and some of them look like gnarly little messes like that. So maybe we should pick through them. Hello, Ryuya. Congratulations, you're not first. Let me wash my hand real quick. So I guess step one is going to be pick through my discount chicken hearts and pull out the ones that don't look very good and remove them. But I have gotten like a giblets packet for something, and I opened it up, and you can tell that they put all the giblets together, and then for the whole production line, and then distribute them into the things because it had like 3 hearts and a neck and 2 livers, and it's like, okay, well, that's clearly you didn't. I ain't no bird that's got 3 hearts. I was just getting a bowl. I washed my hands so that I could handle all of my bowls. Have I ever made beef heart chili? No, I don't think I've ever had beef heart as a where I got a beef heart. I've only ever experienced beef heart in terms of as part of a low-cost jerky. If you look at the ingredients of really like cheap jerkies that are made out of ground meat, they will often have heart. So we're gonna like that one. What's that? I don't know. I don't want it, so we're getting rid of it. So we're just gonna. I don't like that. Looks of that one. There's a lot of them in here, and they were discounted, so I'm not going to be shy about pitching a couple of them. Detroit style coney dog. Well, heart is a cheap piece of muscle off of any animal you're butchering. It is not one of the is not considered one of the valuable cuts. It often gets relegated to dog food. But every animal you butcher has one, so it's got to go somewhere, such as dog food. Uh, Lamb's heart is the only one we've actually worked with, but I've looked into pig's heart, and I have looked for in the past chicken. These guys, and been unsuccessful. And then in this case, these kind of fell into my lap. They were there, ready to go. I didn't have to look for them. And then when I did go double check, they indeed had them stocked, not in the discount as well. So in the future, if I want to do something with chicken hearts, I should be able to find them. Flemish, hello. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. My heart goes out to you. Look at me spin. Most of these are pretty good. These ones that have had the bottom tips cut off, I'm not sure about. I threw one in there already. There's nothing wrong with them. In fact, they might cook more evenly. But they are not picturesque. We might go through and trim a couple of these as well. Yeah, well, if you ever stop and think about meat, it's gross. And you know what? Sometimes you either got to come to terms with that or stop thinking about it. And I am in the come to terms with it camp. But yet can't argue that they're kind of gross. And I can completely understand why people would look at these and be like, no, thank you. Will not be, that was a piece of liver, will not be participating in heart. Give her that one too. Okay. So, a few odds and ends we're just getting rid of. We've got plenty. How is everyone today? The other thing we're doing is we're going to look for these ones with the big top on them and remove. Eating meat's kind of weird. Yep, that's as someone who's never been a vegetarian, I absolutely can understand where that mindset comes from. I'm also not shy about, like, I know people who are meat eaters and they go out of their way to not ever confront the fact that it's an animal. Hamburger, hot dog, chicken nugget type meat eaters. Cut! Cut! Hello! Welcome! Been a minute. Welcome in. We are, indeed, for Valentine's Day, just in time. I made it just in time. Didn't forget this time. We're having some chicken hearts. I'm trimming the tops of them. Not all of them, but looks like most of them. What I'm looking for is, you see this right here, hole. You don't want to, like. Also, there's a bunch of extra fat on a bunch of them, but I don't want that sort of little white ring right at the top. That bit's chewy, so we're just cutting that off whenever I see it. That one doesn't have it. It's got the fat. I'm going to ignore the fat. Fat will largely render out when we cook them. But that little ring, that's right where one of the big arteries connects. And it's gets a little bit chewy, so cutting that part off. How is everyone today? How are you cut? If you're grossed out at all by organ stuff, it's mostly at the start here. We're coming back. Once these guys cook, they're just going to be like little brown nuggets. Little brown Nugents. Not sure why I said that. Just came to my head. Also, these things weren't as cheap as I think I remember them being. Even discounted. They're discounted to about what I expect the price to be. Flu? Oh no! Oh no! Well, these are. That's a big heart. These are full of nutrition. Whoa! Hey! That's something to watch out for too. That right there, which I am going to remove. That right there is chicken blood. It's not going to hurt you. I don't really want it. That's also something that you spot when cutting these guys up. That is a bit that I'm not ready to confront just yet. Sorry to hear you're sick, though. Cut. Glad to see you regardless. Now, see, that's the one. It's got the especially tubey tubes on it. Uh, if you're interested in the nutrition, I don't off the top of my head know what the nutrition facts of hearts are. I know that they are not the most nutritious of the organ meats. They're kind of just muscle. They're high in iron, not as a result of having blood in them, because they shouldn't have blood in them when they're prepared for food. Um, it's in fact because of the what you call it, myoglobin. This is not. This is my first time cooking them in the way that I'm cooking them. This might be my first time actually cooking them myself. I've had heart before. Um, but the myoglobin, which is what makes them so dark red, it's not blood, it's myoglobin, different thing. Myoglobin is also high in iron, which is why they are high in iron. I think we're probably going to trim just about every one of them because there's just a little bit on the top of each one that I'm not entirely sold on. That one got away with it, but this will be my second time doing heart of any kind on the show here. The first time was lamb. We got a whole lamb's heart for a Valentine's Day episode. Because that's where my brain goes. Valentine's Day. Hearts. I'm sure we can find the heart of an animal. Happy Valentine's Day, Cut, by the way. It is today. I didn't forget. I'm not late. Y'all did it 2 weeks early. It was weird. It's always been on March the 2nd. I don't know. Sometimes you just do weird stuff. Sometimes I just do weird stuff. It looks pretty good too. Some of these actually were trimmed the way I would trim them. I know why they're not trimmed, because they're being done at commercial scale. Those can all just go right back in there because they're going to get hit with stuff. This go in the sink. Do treat them just as you would any other part of the chicken. Wash hands, keep isolated from other foodstuffs while raw. Consuming hearts seems like an anti-Valentine's Day activity. I don't know. Isn't that what love is? You go and consume someone else's heart. I don't need to carry that with me because I already brought stuff over here. Rather than oiling the pan, I'm going to oil these guys. Okay, those guys. Parte 2. And I I'll be careful with this because that stuff right there. The canned beet today is important for 2 reasons. Bookwoman, hello. Thank you so much. Prime. A prime. Subscribe. You've just missed prepping this, the I suppose main event, but I don't even think it's going to be the main event because why did I put this into this bowl? That was dumb of me. Anyways, canned beets, and that's the beet water, which I immediately upon doing it realized that it was supposed to go into a measuring cup. Not a steel bowl. Although now that I've got that steel bowl dirty, I may as well use it for that part. Look, they look just like the indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. This is important because I need it for the color. I was actually going to get fresh beets, and the store was out of them. MJ! MJ! Good night. Good night, MJ. Glad you could make it even for just a moment. And the other kind of heart. Oh. Lately I've been watching Atomic Shrimp. And he insists on opening every can that has a pull tab using his standard can opener because he hates the pull tabs and it leaves this little rim, which I honestly cannot argue with him on. He's absolutely correct. The pull tab leaves an awkward little rim. And kind of is a worse thing for opening something like this that's full of junky stuff. Anyways, I want the liquid from this one as well. We are using our canning liquids as our pasta water to infuse color and flavor into our pasta. Because I want it to be a bright, vibrant color. And some wine. So we got, out of 2 cans, we got just shy of a cup and a half of liquid. We're also going to cook the pot. We're doing a one pot thing, and by one pot I mean my widest pan. Other than the white pan, which we could actually use for this. Maybe. I think the white pan has a narrower base footprint, though. This one should be, actually didn't test it, and I'm going to test it now just to make sure that I'm not talking out my butt. If we take some pasta, it fits lengthwise, which means you don't have to get very much liquid in there in order to fully immerse your pastas. That lets us use way less and also get extra starchy pasta water for building a really nice sauce out of. You add a little bit of pasta water to your sauce because the dissolved starch gives you that sort of silky sauce. Uh, the less water, the more concentrated the starches are. And this, we can do that. Now, you don't have to do this in a nonstick. In fact, I recommend doing it. If you ever want to do this, do it in just a normal stainless pan that's super wide like this. Um, but other things are going to be cooked in there, and there are other things that I want to, specifically the hearts, I don't really trust on a stainless of that size. I'm trying to make sure I got everything prepped before I start cooking because I, again, have no recipe today and we are just winging it. And we do, of course, need some garlic. Because it wouldn't be Valentine's Day without some garlic. That would be absurd. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get off some of the extra paper. I do plan to add some chili crisp, actually. I would probably say just some chili flake is good enough, but I'm not going to make it fully spicy, but I'm going to give it a little bit just to perk it up. We're working with some quite strong flavors today, and I'm working with them in such a way that they're going to concentrate a lot as well. So this might be quite a forceful thing once we get down to it. So the chili crisp will be right at home amidst the rest of this. Vampires don't eat hearts. They eat blood. Except for that one kind of vampire from the Masquerade that eats the whole body. Uh, those ones are weird. Okay, our garlics, the other part of our garlic that we don't eat, the wrapping. You know, I've seen peeled garlics like this, little individual cloves, that were themselves shrink wrapped. You know, they took this part off and then they put it back on, but plastic. And that made me do a double take and then say out loud, what's wrong with people? I've seen that with individually pre-peeled oranges and bananas as well. It's the same thing. Like, why? I guess people don't like peeling oranges, but bananas are so easy to peel. And then you got this extra piece of trash to carry around. Bizarre. Just strange. Big knife. Big knife time. I am not concerned about the little brown spots on these guys. It's some kind of scar or damage or possibly a little bit of dehydration, withering. It's not rot of any kind, so I'm just going to ignore it. It's some artifact of them being mass market farmed, shipped, and stored. That one kersploded. That one was trying to sprout. That's why that one kersploded. The little sprouty thing in the middle, which people always tell me is bitter, and then not to use sprouty garlics or to remove the sprouty bit, and I don't see it. I do not understand. People are happy to use garlic scapes, which is the sprouty bit, but long. Come on, stop sticking. Soak in the Hearts and Buttermilk are doing an acidic mask instead. I was leaning towards neither. I was leaning towards neither. I was going to go for build up strong flavors. Don't hide from any of them today. At most, I was considering giving the hearts a splash of wine. Because the alcohol can take out a little bit of gamey flavor, but I honestly think we're just going to go hard. So there's going to be wine in this, and the wine is going to bring some acidity. So there is, in that regard, going to be some acidity. But I'm not going out of my way for it. One shallot, which is also trying to sprout on me. I guess spring is around the corner. The inside of this shallot does not look the best. The logic that has always been presented to me is that the sprout piece itself, the little green sprout in the middle, is bitter. And that is the only logic that's ever been presented to me is, oh, that when it sprouts, that bit's bitter. Now, also, it's a sign that your garlic is getting a little bit old and is pulling sugars from the thing, from the rest of the bulb into that little leaf in an attempt to become a big boy garlic. But that is the logic culinarily, is that's bitter, so get rid of that part. But the reason that doesn't hold up to me is people eat that green part deliberately when it's bigger. That's what a garlic scape is. It's the garlic having sprouted and grown a full thing and is trying to flower already. It's literally that little thing all grown up. So I just use it. I've never discarded the little green sprout. So if you're worried about it at all, ever, uh, the other thing is you can just, if you are concerned about the flavor, you can cut the garlic in half, and then that little green thing just pops right out the middle. They pop right out the middle. Um, and then the rest of the garlic bulb is just the same as a normal garlic bulb, but with a little hole in the middle where the leaf was. If you let them go until they're like a really full-sized onion sprout, then yeah, you're going to lose something. But when it's just a little tiny little dealy like that, you're never going to notice it. Okay. One large shallot. Also slightly sprouted. Okay, we've got one shallot. Ended up with 5 cloves of garlic. A lot of garlic. Shallots fighting back. Spicy in my eyes. Oof, oof. Wash my sticky hand. Garlic made my hand sticky. Okay, so chicken heart, beet, artichoke, garlic, shallot, beet liquid, or red liquid, pasta, parsley, cheese, garlic chive, get that out so I don't forget that I wanted to put some of it in, because if it's in the fridge, I will forget about it. I think we just start going. Now, what order do I do this? That's the thing. I got to plot this out, because I'm going to want to boil the pasta in the liquid, the red juice. The pasta is going to boil long enough that if I put the hearts in at the same time, they are going to overcook. They want to be just dry. Well, not dry, they were oiled, but in a no liquid pan, so that they can get cooked and browned. They need to get well above the boiling point to get some browning on them. The beets, canned beets, I should give these guys a little tasteroo so I know what I'm working with in terms of their doneness. They're canned, so they should be fully cooked. Earthy, sweet, kind of just earthy and sweet. They're a little bit on the bland side in terms of beets. The artichoke hearts, it said small. These are substantially sized things. We might trim those. We might trim these down as well by just cutting them in half. What was in these? Artichoke hearts, water, salt, citric acid. So they're going to be just a tiny bit of acidity. It should already be very, very red as a result of the beet juice from the can, which I have no intention of pouring off at any time. Ideally, all of that liquid in there either gets absorbed into the pasta or cooked down into a finished sauce and served. So it should be pretty strikingly red. Likewise, I'm keeping all of the artichoke water I don't like the looks of this one. Why are these? They're very regularly brown. It's got to be a leaf condition from the artichoke when it was a plant. I'm going to take those bits off though. I think they're going to be hard. Those might get cut. Okay. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to cook the hearts first. Cook the hearts. No, we're going to cook the pasta first. Yeah, that right there. We had a little bit of blood from one of the hearts, but this is the juice from the canned beets and the juice from the canned artichokes. Very, very intensely dark red, even with diluted by half with the artichokes. We're going to cook the pasta first, and then we're going to remove it entirely from the pan and the liquid, and then cook other things, and then we're going to add the liquid back at the end and try to assemble it into a sauce. I think that's the plan, which means the pasta is going to sit on the side for a while. Does that seem right? Does that seem right? All right, I want to make sure I don't bungle this too badly. So I haven't used this bowl in a minute. There's some debris. Okay, well, then we're going to slide over here. We've got our pan. We've got our... We're at 1.5 cups between the two cans, which is pretty good, honestly. A little bit of artichoke debris in there. We are adding to it at least 1/2 cup of wine. For flavor and to darken up our redness. I think I'm going to go for another 1/2 cup of wine. So a full cup of red wine. You guys, this almost probably just for the show would be better in the white pan so you guys could see this. I might do that right now and say oh well on having only one pan. I gotta check to see if the pasta will sit lengthwise in it though. Because a dark pan versus a light colored pan. It will. It will. Okay, we're doing that. We're doing that just for the sake of the show so we can see what's going on. I'll have an opportunity to wash that pan in a minute. Chef Pete and Bob. Chef Pete, how was the poutine? Or Bob, if Chef Pete's not here. How was the poutine? I was lurking over there a little bit right before I fired things up. Thank you so much for the raid. Spelled that correctly? Yes. Okay. Heat on. Hello, Mr. Bob. If I tweak my color or my brightness here. Well, I'm going to tweak my brightness, see what happens. It's brighter. Is it? No, it's slightly flickery. I'm going to go back down one. It's pushing that camera a little bit too hard. But hello, Raiders and Bob. Welcome in. It's Valentine's Day. You can't prove it's not. And we're making Valentine's Day food, which is currently a bowl of red liquid. Right there. Right over there. That's it. Dropped one of my spagoots. Okay. We're going with the old crude finger method for measuring our spaghetti, which is you kind of do that, and then you put spaghetti in there, and if it fits, that's the right amount of spaghetti. It does mean that if you have smaller hands, you get less spaghetti. I'm also going to add a couple more just because I'm greedy. Boop-a-doo. So we're not bringing this to a raging boil. We want it to come up to a simmer, and we're going to simmer these. It takes a little bit longer at a lower heat, but we don't want to boil a lot of this away. We'd rather have the pasta soak it up mostly. And we shan't be afraid to add more liquid if I feel like there's not enough. In fact, before I go too far with the heating end of things, how deep is this? About that deep? A little more than about 1/4 of an inch. Three quarters of the chef himself, Pete. Hello, Pete. You are most welcome. Welcome in. How is the poutine? That is starting to steam. We're going to be gentle and focused. Gentle and focused. I have a vision for this, and I would like to actually get my vision. They don't show signs of stopping. Okay, well, that's a good endorsement of the poutine, I guess. It's not quite bubbling, but it is moving on its own. So I'm going to go ahead and say that you can't see because it's very dark red, but I'm just going to say that's close enough, and we're going to add this. And get out wooden chopsticks for it to push it around. No additional salt because canned food has salt in it. If I look at the cans, both of them were the ingredient that they are a canned thing of, water and salt. So this is just salty water with stuff from the vegetable dissolved in it. And then in the case of the artichoke hearts, a little bit of citric acid, probably as an additional preservative. I noticed that in a lot of the more vegetable-y vegetables that they'll put some citric acid in there or some kind of acid in there with them. Um, and whenever possible, I suggest working out how to use the liquid from your cans because, pardon me, because the liquid has dissolved stuff out of the vegetables while they were being canned and then sitting there. And you want that stuff. You paid for that stuff. You should eat that stuff. So we're going to shoot for these guys to be a reasonable al dente because they are going to then finish in the sauce at the end as well. And I'd rather they not come out the end of that part like Chef Boyardee, which, if you're unaware, is always massively overcooked because of the canning. Canning pasta just overcooks the pasta. That's why it's so soft, which some people really like, but that is why you get that texture of it. It is massively overcooked to just mush. Which also, fun fact, this is something I sometimes I read old recipe stuff. In the early days of dry pasta in the United States, when it was coming into the US from Europe, the going logic was to boil it for like 40 minutes. Just boil it to death. And that was the standard. Can you imagine? I can, but can you? I have a very good imagination. I think this is just the right amount of liquid. So 2.5 cups. If we had any more pasta than this, I think I would be pushing for a little bit more liquid to top up on them. Hi, Queerly. Hi, Jen. You know someone who boils the life out of their pasta. I think clearly the logic was that it's hard, so they were treating it like hard, preserved, like dry grains. So it was being cooked the same way that you would cook dried wheat or dried barley. And they were shooting for the same end result of it being soft unto the point of being like a porridge. Um, which, of course, you can do that. And that is the Chef Boyardee experience of it being just borderline mush. Um, but thankfully, we got away from that being the standard at some point. While that is simmering, I'm going to take advantage and wash a few things. Namely, that one pan that I now dirtied as an extra pan, and also my chickeny cutting tools. Because I'm not moving on to any other cooking elements until that pasta is done, so good time for it. But how are you, Queerly? How are you, Jen? How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. You can't prove it's not. I should have called this like love spaghetti or something. Right? This is something I absolutely never do, and I should do all the time, is wash things while I'm cooking. Whenever I have a standing around moment, I should do some of the washing up in that moment. And I don't. Because I'm terrible. Because I'm terrible. And really, it's because when I wash up, I'm over here and I can't see chat, and you guys are over there and I can't see you. Oh no, I turned my back. What have you all been saying about me? Um, you like my haircut? Well, thanks. I did it myself, and I definitely didn't do it to my specifications, but I sure did it. See how these noodles are coming? They should be getting ideally bendy enough that I can bend them like pasta noodles. Soon. We might need to add a splash of water to that. They are definitely soaking some of it up. They have a little bit of a stiffness to them yet. They're resisting, like, they're resisting. And we're boiling off a little bit faster than I wanted to. Let's, yep. We've dried, looks like we dried mostly wine onto the sides. Thank you guys. I knew I could count on you. Should probably finish that bottle of wine, right? We'll keep that bottle of wine handy in case I need to add more red to this. And also, in case I need to do any deglazing, and in case I need a glass of wine at the end. Yeah, those are all things that I might need. Um. mm, Bruh. 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 Tell you what, while that's simmering, now that I've done a dish or two, I am going to split these. I think they're a little bit on the big side. And for that, I once again need a bowl. There was a period I went through where I absolutely loved canned artichokes. I was putting these things, it was before I streamed. So you guys did not experience that period. My artichoke time. The time of artichokes. Um, Not a huge fan of like fresh artichokes. The canned ones, my God, I kept getting them and I kept putting them in things. Uh, not sure what my obsession was. Your Bernays split. Oh my God! And right when it counted the most too. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I split sauces all the time. I'm terrible at sauces. Um, ooh, that one has the choke in it still. I'm also going to take that stem off. It's a little bit too much stem for me. Just a wee bit too much stem for me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything else went well, but your Bernays splitting in a clutch moment, splitting a sauce in a clutch moment, is a tough one. It's a tough one. Um, okay, they're starting to get noodly, noodly. But we do actually need some more liquid, so I'm going to give them a splash of water to top that up a bit. Because they're not going to make it, I think. They're drying out a little bit too fast. Hello, Mr. Bob. Welcome in. About time you got here. Uh, how's it going? Okay, we're going to bring the temperature back up until it hits that simmer again, and then we're going to take it back down because I don't want to boil it away. It's going to be a little bit of a fussy thing. We're not doing, mentioning sauces, we're not doing any kind of cream sauce. We're not doing any kind of emulsion sauce today. So I don't think we will have the danger. Dang. Low flying helicopters. Uh, Wouldn't you know it, low-flying helicopters. You had an auto shouted. Well, I shouted out Chef Pete, who said thank you. Oop, there's our simmer. Let's take that one down a little bit. Yeah, I was watching. I was watching. I was lurking while I was setting up. So I saw the start of it. I didn't see the finish. Didn't see the finished dish. This is working better than I thought. I think the other pan is actually still the better choice uh, because it's flatter before it goes up the sides. The white pan here has more of a curve to it, so you're getting more of these. Oops! Ah, dang it! Dropped my chopstick. We're getting more of these dried out shoulder bits because it's kind of sloping itself inward. Um, it's looking pretty good in terms of it being pasta noodles. They're nice and pliable. They're nice and pliable. Let's they're a little bit over al dente still. They've got that kind of like hard middle that sticks to your teeth just a little bit. What's in that top left bowl? What's in that top left bowl? What do you think that is? Taking a nice close look at it. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. You're half right, but it's Valentine's Day. You can't prove it's not. Uh, that is hearts. It is chicken hearts. And it's quite a lot of them. Much like gizzards and livers, they come in a fairly large package. Um, and we're doing a one pot thing in terms of the cook. These are also hearts. These are artichoke hearts. And these are not hearts, but they are contributing to the color. These are canned beets. Oh, there's some juice in there dripping out of them. Which this red liquid is composed of the juice from our canned beets, the juice from our canned artichokes, a cup of red wine. I used this Smoking Loon Cabernet Sauvignon, and some water because it was cooking down too fast. Uh, This is the most fussy bit of the whole process. Thank you, Bob. I am a strange bird. Think of them as quail hearts, if it helps. I've got a drop of water on my glasses. Anyways, so we're doing things in stages. We're all doing it in the same pan, but not at the same time because there are things that really can't be cooked together. One of them is any of these other things with the pasta would be ruined cooking them as long as I need to cook the pasta. And also, the hearts do not want to be cooked wet like this. They want to be cooked in the pan without the beets, or without the beet juice. So we're doing things in stages. It's going to be a little bit time consuming as a result because I can't do two things side by side. Let's sample our pasta again. And we're cooked. And we're cooked. So, off with his heat. And we're taking the whole shebang, pasta and liquid, out. Set that aside. We'll come back to that later. This looks a state. Looks a state. But it's time for these guys. We tossed them in olive oil earlier. That was our only, other than trimming them, only thing we've done to them is toss them in olive oil. That should be getting hot, or staying hot, right quick. So we're going right in. Oh, you know someone. You know someone who did that, huh? You know a guy. I'm gonna wash this bowl immediately. We're not waiting. The bowl with the raw chicken is getting washed before anything else happens. Both because I should be washing, again, should be washing as I go way more than I do. But also raw chicken. Clearly, it has been a minute. It has been a minute since I have done any really wacky stuff. But I used to do more wacky stuff. So heads up, that is definitely a thing that I do, know how to do, and will do again. For example, Happy Valentine's Day. I've gotten myself in. I almost want to describe it as a rut. I've gotten myself into a rut of only like cooking good food or quote unquote normal food. So, sometimes you just gotta branch out and be like, nah. Sometimes you just gotta be like, nah. That's those are the words I said. I'm separating the liquid from our noodles so they aren't just swimming this whole time. And also because I'm going to want to add the liquid to that pan before I add the noodles back when I get that far, and it'll be easier if the liquid is already in its own thing. We absorbed slash cooked off a heck of a lot of it. I've got 2/3 of a cup of total liquid left. Quite the difference from the 2.5 cups plus another probably cup of water, so 3.5 cups. I remember quite liking the lamb's heart, so I have hopes for this. But that was also a roast. Whereas this is not. A couple of these could have been trimmed a little bit more than I trimmed them. You worry that the high heat will make them tougher than they already are. Well, I actually think that the pan was slightly not hot enough. I wanted to cook them hot and fast, the way you do with like a thin steak. So cooked through, but hit them with a high heat quickly instead of a low heat slow. But I guess we'll find out. This is what we're doing. There's no turning back now. So I've actually turned the heat up. Also, in my past experience having eaten chicken hearts, they are less tough than any other kind of heart I've ever had. Anyways, if I get a bunch of engagement on this episode, we're going to do more heart content, because that's how I guess algorithms work. Because that's definitely what I do, chase algorithms. But yeah, I don't entirely know what I'm doing, so we are kind of just playing today. So you could be right. You could be right, Ryuya. I will say, they had a little bit of a weird smell, when they were still more raw, but also getting hot. That has gone away as they're cooking through, and they smell a lot more like, they actually smell a lot like duck breast now. They're getting that sort of a dark poultry flavor. They smell a little bit like a pate, like a really mild liver smell is coming out of them. They're also doing a great job of rendering out all of the fat that was on the tops of them, forming a nice layer of schmaltz at the bottom, which will be excellent for when we start frying in our vegetables. I need a bowl because they are going to get removed. But yeah, so what are you all having for dinner on this, the day of Valentine's Day? You can't prove it's not. Probably add mushrooms and bacon. Mushrooms would probably be a good flavor here. I'm not adding mushrooms. I'm not. I've got a lot going on, anyways, between the artichokes and the beets. I don't think we're going to go for yet more ingredients. Bacon as a flavor component, I think, would be good here. I do agree that probably would be a fine addition. Again, I think I've got a lot going on. Already. If you're not on board with the hearts, you could do the rest of what I'm doing with either a different piece of chicken that you like or a different protein. This would go pretty well, I think, with beef because it's going to be some strong flavors. Or mushrooms. Or you could just leave out the meat component because there's going to be, like I said, quite a bit going on here regardless. Am I going to chop them up? No, they're going to stay like that. We're getting a nice brown sear on the outside, and then they're going to stay like that. Well, they're going to get mixed in with a bright red sauce, but gizzards. Yeah, I think gizzards would go well here as well. We are developing a fond at the bottom, and I'm not seeing any of the slightly reddish bits. And everybody has at least a little bit of a browned surface. But if you wanted to do this and do it like all audiences safe, like I would go with some beef. Something that likes to be cooked at a high heat like this. Or mushrooms. Those would be probably my go-tos. We had marinated raw tuna over rice. I had that the other day. That was my little tuna bowl. I marinated some tuna, served it over rice. Okay, we should bring our heat down a little bit and I think remove the hearts. Cooper, where be ye? There ye be. There's plenty of fat in the pan, so I will not be adding anything. Mixture of olive oil and chicken schmaltz. I do. I mean, we have the juice here from cooking the pasta, which has red wine in it. But I also have some regular red wine, or the same red wine that I used in the pasta liquid. Okay, let's get our shallot sautéed. I think the beets, they're kind of small. They're bigger than the hearts though, and I think I'm going to cut them in half, like I did with the artichokes. Should I? No, I'm gonna leave them whole. This is gonna be awkward. This probably shouldn't have been served with a spaghetti, ultimately, because okay, that's gone pretty fast. That brown is getting quite browny. The hearts, the whole package of hearts cost $1.50. They were on sale, but they were marked down from like $3, so they're still pretty cheap for quite a lot of stuff, even at full price. Saute until our garlic is fragrant. I'm going to cut the beets in half. Heart is one of those things. It is in very, very low demand here in the old US of A. But every single chicken that they kill, that they butcher, has got one. So it's got to go somewhere. And they definitely divert a lot of it into dog food, but thank you for the lurk, bookwoman. They divert some to dog food because they divert a lot of those off-cut things to dog food. It probably used to, in fact, I guarantee it used to get mixed into chicken nuggets. Now all the chicken nuggets are extremely proud of being all white meat. When they were not all white meat, I could pretty much guarantee you they were throwing heart in there with the other bits. Because once you grind it up, you can't tell the difference. It's just chicken meat. We're going to have way more stuff than we have pasta. But yeah, those things, they end up being very, very affordable. Because in America, a lot of people just don't either know how to use them or have any interest in using them. There's this idea of, ew, it's the gross part. Okay, we're going to get out our scraper, and we are going to give this a shot of just red wine to loosen, well, here. Some of our beet juice. We're going to give it a shot of our red. And while that's boiling at the bottom, scrape up the brown bits. You know, it's not the reddest thing I ever did see. Some leftovers and some chicken kidneys. I don't have chicken kidneys, and that I don't know where to find. Okay. All of our remaining liquid from our pasta. So that's beets, wine, and artichoke drippings. Trying to scrape down the sides a little bit. And make sure that I've scraped the bottom thoroughly. Yeah, it's looking okay. It's looking okay. It's a little bit less vibrantly red than I had in my head, than I had in my mind palace. But that is a thing that beet juice does. When you heat it, it tends to lose a little bit of its intensity, turns into a more of a darker brownish red. Speaking of red, clear the beet juice off of my cutting board before it soaks in. Set aside some things. Okay. Things are looking good. Things are feeling up. That phrase did not land in the mouth the way I thought it was going to when I started saying it. Can't take it back now, though. Ooh. We're also off center. Okay. I think there's only one plate of choice for this. It's got to be the wide white one. Do I want to finish you in there? Or do I want to? I think I just want to serve it on the plate as is. Half the fun of cooking it is that you don't smother it. So then we will add the sauce over the top. Which makes things easier because then I can just add these guys right in here. Stir them in. And I did partially forget, but not entirely forget. So in the chili crisps go. I knew I'd forget if I didn't put it out. And I put it out so that I looked over, saw it, remembered, and put it in. I haven't really been tasting as I go. We're gonna be in for a surprise at the end, is what's gonna happen. I almost want to say this should have some tomato in it, but I don't want to make a tomato sauce. So it's not gonna. Unless I add tomato bouillon, tomato chicken bouillon to it. That'll add a little bit more of an orangey red to our otherwise darker wine red palette, which might help the color. It's a little bit on the brown side. Everybody's cooked. We just want the sauce to thicken underneath all this stuff. And for everything to be kind of heated through tastily. And then we're going to awkwardly plate this on top of those noodles over there. Awkwardly. Tomato paste. I think it's too late. I think it's too late to put tomato paste because it would... we'd need time to cook it out a little bit more. We're going to accent it with some parsley and some... I think tomato paste would have worked if I'd done it earlier. We're going to accent this with some parsley for a little splash of green, which we absolutely need on this red disaster. And cheese, which is white. The pasta is still slightly warm to the touch. I can't wait too long or it's going to get quite room temp cold. I didn't put anything over the top of it to preserve it. I'm trusting in this to prevent it from cooling off when I add this to it. But I think we're gonna serve, or at least plate this part of it. I want whole pieces, please. Yep, that made a mess. It that curved bowl swept it down a little bit. Okay, that guy. Some coarsely shaved Parmesan. One of our garlic chives. Nip the top and tail. A little bit of that guy, a little bit of that guy, and some parsley. Still got the twist tie on that parsley because it's new. And we will have a little bit of a decorative sprig as well. Why not? I don't have truffles and I don't know where to get them. Not like good ones, at least. Some parsley. And one decorative sprig that also helps cover up that little bit of a smush in the back there. Okay. Heart spaghetti for Valentine's Day. You can't prove it's not. Gonna give us a little bit of fresh up of that. Haven't tasted anything along the way. Don't know if this has worked at all. Could be a fail. Kind of doubt it. Let's go take a picture. Let's go take our photograph. Look at this photograph. come back and we will see if these flavors are just a meme or if they actually turn into food. I mean, we should start with everything. No dancing around this one. We take some spaghetti noodles. We take one of our hearts, one of our beets. Get it? Heartbeat. I hope somebody got that before just now. It's edible. That makes it sound like it's bad. It's leaning toward the meme side of the thing. It's very beet flavored. That is the dominant flavor. It is almost like a sour beet flavor. That is the dominant flavor. The chicken heart, I have to try one by themselves, by itself. The chicken heart that was in that first bite was a tad on the chewy side, but it gave way. They're a tad chewy. They're not massively chewy. It tastes like really strong chicken thigh. It's that chicken dark meat flavor, but like turned up. So if you don't like that flavor, you won't like these. They're kind of chewy, but they're not like rubbery chewy. They just kind of give you some resist. The pasta is actually really good. It's sweet, a little bit tannic, a little bit earthy, well seasoned. Honestly, just the juices from that pasta water soaked into the pasta. That's quite a good combination. That part's quite good. I think that with a lot more cheese. Yeah, the beet by itself is very beety, extremely beety, and overall, that is taking over the flavor. The artichokes. Hello, Miss Sepsi. Happy Valentine's Day. You can't prove it's not. The artichokes are also a little on the sour side. Again, when they were canned with some citric acid. I think I didn't account for the sourness of the. I didn't account for the sourness in my overall thing. So what I've ended up with is kind of a sweet and sour beet pasta with chewy bits. It's again, I'm not gonna like go. This is a huge success. There's definitely room for improvement. It's interesting. Um, I did some things that I've never done before, and I have no concept. It's also got kind of a building spice to it, which is odd in context of all the other flavors going on because it doesn't taste spicy, and your first bite does not hit you with spice at all, and then it kind of comes up from the back. I think it needs more cheese. Gosh, I'm not. I'm tempted to try to cook the rest of it more and push some more flavors into it, possibly tomato, because it is currently being dominated by the beet. It is like beet with some sour elements is the overriding flavor, and I think that's where I'm losing it a little bit. And dairy, we made borscht twice. Um, in both cases, dairy was used to balance out the strength of the beet in the borscht. Um, I made two dairy-based ones. There aren't all dairy-based ones. Um, and I think we could do that here. Way early on, Ryuya mentioned using buttermilk to kind of pull some of the meatiness, the gaminess out of the hearts. I think that would have benefited the beets a lot in this. I also think mincing up the beets might have been a good idea so that they're less big chunks of them. Um, what I wanted to do was get a one whole small beet and grate it and use it in this. But the store was out of beets, like loose beets, so I went with the canned one, um, which changed the whole course of how the recipe was going to go because it had to accommodate now canned beets, but we also had the beet juice, so because I wasn't going to have that from just a fresh beet. Interesting. Well, I hope we all learned something. It's not my favorite. Not gonna lie. It's not my favorite. Um, the hearts being a little on the chewy side is not my favorite either. Hmm. Quite possibly. Heart naturally gets a lot of work, so it is tends to be on the tougher side of muscles. The two ways you typically deal with tougher muscles is either a very fast hot cook or a very slow low cook. They suffer from the in between. So in this case, ideally, that pan should have been even hotter and I should have gone through them ripping quick. I also think that I should have cut them in half. I think that would have helped them cook faster. Because I think they sat around a little bit too long in the pan. But the flip side would be sealing them up, cooking them slow for a long period of time to super doneness. So then they would get really tough, but you'd keep cooking them and they would loosen up. I don't know if that works for hearts. It's a different kind of muscle. It doesn't always behave the same way as like limb muscles. I'm giving this thing quite a bit of thought because again, it's not my favorite, and I want to save it. I want to bring it back. I'll eat this plate, but the rest of it, because there's quite a bit of it over here, Although, in terms of monetary value, there's about $3 worth of stuff in there. Um, no, because there's a bunch of wine. There's about $5 worth of stuff in there. Um, it looks very good. The colors came out nice. It sort of has this. I want to be better. So I'm gonna have to give this some thought because I don't think if I just put this in a container that I would eat it as leftovers as it is. I think that's the problem. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't reach for it as a leftover. It needs something else done to it. So I will need to revisit that part somehow with something. What does it need? I have to think about it. I have to think about it. Um, but that's the danger of doing some of these more meme-based cooks. I really like the look of the finished thing. It's got a nice, like, red pasta. I like the look of the pasta cooked in the red liquid. And the flavor of the noodles is excellent. The flavor of the pasta is excellent. I think the beet juice. I think I think I think I shouldn't have used the artichoke juice because it has got this sour element that is pushed through the whole thing. I think the beet juice and the wine paired very nicely. I think the sourness from the artichoke is holding us back. How do you fix that? You fix that with more sweetness. You fix that with dairy. You would fix that by mincing up the beets so that they're more spread out, and then they can contribute their sweetness to more parts of the dish instead of just being these concentrated nuggets. I'm glad I cut them in half. I should have cut them down even further, like chopped them up. Um, yeah. I guess I'm I'm gonna end up waffling and brainstorming. We're not doing any additional cooking on that tonight, though. So this is just me brainstorming time. Um, I think that one's more cheese as well because it feels very low fat. Interestingly, there's quite a bit of oil in that pan, but it wants a little bit more fattiness, I think. So yeah, oops. So yeah, we made heart spaghetti. I have been saying the last couple of weeks, I want to do more weird stuff. I want to do some weird thing. Do a weird thing. So, heartbeat. I can't believe I didn't write it down. I didn't think of it when I was writing it on the thing here. Heartbeat spaghetti. It writes itself. Let's write out. Let's see who's on. Uh, dinner with mom. Mom is on. Mom's on. Should we go say hi to mom? We haven't for a hot minute. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go right over to mom. Um, not sure what's cooking. Test recipe seems fine. Eyes. And there's a bunch of scallions being chopped. So let's find out what that is by asking. Um, yeah. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you. Thanks to Bookwoman for the resub. Um, I know my my usual like, oh, best thing I've ever eaten at the end. Sometimes sometimes we push the envelope a little bit too far. Um, I need to give that some thought. We might revisit the main thing there to try to really hone in on it because it's not. I, I'm just gonna wind myself up in circles if I keep thinking about it like that. Thanks to all of you for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Dishes look pretty good. Having a one pot meal was a good idea. Yeah, I guess I don't have that anything more to say. Just thanks. 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 Join the Discord. You'll get to see the glamour shot version of the picture of this thing with better lighting and color. There's our countdown. So, farewell, sweet prince.